the final battle between humanity's greatest heroes and their demonic foe. But this time we're not following some glorified, overpowered hero. Instead, our protagonist is just another foot soldier, doing his job diligently. Being the lowly runt he is, a sharp stray laser blasts straight through his chest, a hit so powerful that he doesn't even resist, and just lets it pass through. And that wraps up his story. In his final moments, he glances around at his fellow soldiers, dead and scattered across the battlefield. As for the so-called greatest heroes, well, they're locked in an intense clash against humanity's arch-nemesis, the Liquidator. Among the heroes are 4 brave warriors, each with unique traits and flashy powers. And then, there are guys like our boy, foot soldiers, thrown in as sacrificial pawns. These guys are basically like NPCs standing in the corner with no dialogue. Their purpose? Just die. He feels pathetic about himself, thinking how little he has contributed to this war. If only he had been born with some kind of talent. But as powerful as those heroes might be, they don't stand a chance either. The Liquidator slices through them like cucumbers. Literally, a single blow is all it took to wipe them out. Turns out that monster was just toying with his prey the whole time. Humanity's fate has finally been sealed already, or at least, that's what Gray Lee thought. This is then he remembers that his heart has already been shredded into bits, and yet, he's still not dead. Next thing he knows, he's standing in the middle of the ruins. In front of him is this omnipotent being who gives zero context for what's going on. The mystery dude claims that Gray's body has already healed. But the wild part is that he healed himself using powers buried deep inside him all along. The entity goes on to further say that Gray is actually way stronger than the Liquidator, the same bastard who slaughtered all those heroes like pigs. However, he's not sure if Gray can even handle that power. So, for now, the entity lends our boy a portion of his own power, just enough to take down the Liquidator. Back in the real world, Gray's sword is instantly surrounded by mysterious energy, gifted by the all-powerful being. Without wasting time, he puts this energy to the test, to see if it's the real deal or just hot air. Turns out this power packs a serious punch. So much so that the Liquidator actually commends Gray for his strength. But it's still not enough. As Gray goes in for another strike, bam! He's sliced in half like the rest. Blood gushes from his bisected body as the Liquidator, weirdly enough, praises him again. He's the first person to push the Liquidator far enough that he had to go all out. But the Liquidator is in for another surprise. Gray isn't done yet. That blackish energy is fueling him. The lower half of his body, which was gone a second ago, has now reformed, made entirely of dark energy. Bro is going full Black Clover mode with that massive sword of his. It's a sight to behold. To think that someone could actually make the Liquidator waver. The enemy sees no other option other than to throw up a honeycomb shield to guard his sorry self. Gray doesn't even look human anymore. He crashes down with his colossal blade, and the impact sends literal shockwaves through the air. The shield shatters into glittering pieces, and Mr. Cocky ends up eating shit with the full brunt of the hit. Now the bastard is seriously wondering if the thing he's fighting is even human. Hell, he's not sure if Gray is even alive. Meanwhile, our boy is asking himself the same thing. But right now, all that matters is the fight. And yeah, this freak is tough as nails, but our boy is also determined to do the math and break this bastard down. He's not stopping until this menace is erased. He throws another wild slash, and this creepy fuck starts bleeding this creepy golden blood. In response, the freak busts out some next-level jutsu and sprouts celestial wings. Looks like he's messing with time itself. Day turns into night, with the moon glowing like a spotlight from the gods. It's pretty impressive, and Gray admits it, but not impressive enough to shake his confidence. He goes full throttle, launching a preemptive strike straight at the Liquidator's neck. But surprisingly, the sword doesn't pierce. There's some weird shield around him again. Then he starts yapping nonsense that flies straight over my head. Apparently within this plane of true dusk, nothing can hurt him. Or at least, that's what this bastard claims. He tells Gray to look up at the sky, to see just how deep in shit he really is. Well, our boy looks up out of curiosity, and sees a blinding star-like thing glowing with insane intensity. Then boom, that thing crashes down like a damn meteor and obliterates Gray from existence. The Liquidator stands victorious, staring down at the crater left behind. But thankfully, that mysterious entity from earlier shows up again, just in time to rewind everything and send our boy back into the past with an only mission, which is to save the world. By the way, that mystery man's name is Kronos. Apparently, he and the Liquidator have some kind of history, but no one is telling us what kind. So anyway, cut back to our boy, who opens his eyes in a peaceful green neighborhood right after his regression. It's quiet, calm, and honestly pretty damn photogenic. Turns out he's in his hometown, Renato Village. Not just his hometown, but the past version of it. He is almost 15 years in the past. Looks like Kronos kept his word. Gray's been sent back in time, for one final shot at saving the world. Suddenly, a stinging pain crawls through his hand. When he takes a look at his hand, he notices wounds and bandages wrapped around his wrist. Now that he thinks about it, this was the time in his life when he was basically a punching bag for Belder and his gang. But with this new shot at life, it'd be pretty pathetic if he still ended up getting bullied. Then again, there's no way he could fight those guys head on. Bro is way out of their league. In hindsight, even beating the Liquidator sounds like a dream. Anyway, he's got to figure out how to deal with these bullies, or he's doomed to relive the same suffering all over again. Seems like bro can't catch a break, or can he? He just so happens to stumble across the same assholes he's been dreading the most. Of course, it's Belder and his goons. Since they've been bored lately, they've been on the hunt for our guy, eager to continue their tradition of good old-fashioned bullying, like it's their new religion. They toss a spare sword at his feet, ordering him to pick it up. Our boy stares at the sword, clueless. He still hasn't figured out what these goons are up to. After all, it's been 15 years, so memories are a bit hazy. Belder, meanwhile, assumes Gray is pretending to be clueless on purpose, so he is kind enough to remind him about their usual mock battles. Hearing that, Gray quickly tries to brush these pests off by pointing to his injured hand. He's grateful for the invite, but unfortunately, he can't join because the injury hasn't healed yet. But it looks like bro can't shake these hobos unless he picks up the sword and fights. They even assure him the swords are totally blunt, so there's barely any chance of getting hurt. Gray, however, can't shake the feeling that injury is still possible. No matter how blunt the blade, it's still a lump of iron. One wrong hit in the wrong spot could book your one-way ticket to heaven. Well, he's got a point. One gentle tap on the balls, and you'll be doubled over on the ground in unbearable pain. But these guys don't seem to get the logic behind Gray's words. Belder takes his stance, ready to strike. He hates hearing no from Gray, so he charges at him like a raging bull to start the duel. Gray was given time to grab the sword, but it's up, and Belder is already charging at him. Our boy finds it ridiculous that this dude calls it a mock battle while charging like he's pissed off at his own mother. That's when Gray remembers something a former military doctor told him. The reason his swordsmanship never improved was because of an injury he sustained as a kid. Now that he thinks about it, maybe this is the injury that changed his life forever and forced him to live like a runt. Belder comes crashing down with his blade, but Gray blurs away and dodges the strike. Seriously though, even Gray himself is shocked that he managed to dodge it. Belder's face meanwhile tightens in annoyance at seeing such impressive agility. He throws another strike which my guy dodges again. Then a quick strike aimed at his feet is also easily avoided. The bastard's trying hard to tag our boy. He's like a bloodthirsty man on a mission, determined to take his opponent down. But Gray slips through like a ninja on cocaine. At first Gray thought Belder was just slow, but then he realizes that it's not the Belder who has gotten slow, it's he himself who has gotten faster. Bro is literally dodging every strike like he owes rent. Even Belder's goons can't ignore what they're seeing. It's like Gray is a completely different person. He might not have the body he once had, but he still has the memories of every battle he's fought. With all that experience mapped in his head, his body is basically on autopilot. He barely even has to try to dodge those strikes. Then Gray grabs the sword to keep this so-called mock battle going, which isn't feeling so mock anymore. Belder is drowning in his own ego, desperately trying to crush Gray under his blunt blade. But my guy had enough. He swings his sword for the first time. The sudden jerk from his powerful swing leaves Belder's hand aching like hell. That just shows how pathetic Belder really is. If Gray is being honest, he actually feels like the loser here, duking it out with such a weakling. But he also believes that Belder doesn't deserve an ounce of pity. He's the piece of shit who bullied Gray, took away his future, and caused all that suffering. So with all due respect, Gray is going to make Belder taste his own medicine. On the next move, Gray effortlessly knocks the sword right out of Belder's hand, unarming him instantly. While Belder can only feel the humiliation, Gray realizes this dude is worse than he thought. He takes the opportunity to throw a jab, mocking Belder's incompetence with a sword. One single blow sent Belder's sword flying. Then again, being unarmed isn't a big problem. After all, Belder was the one who insisted these blunt blades were totally safe to use in a fight. Gray is going absolutely nuts, swinging the blade so fast it literally cuts through Belder's skin, causing blood to gush out. As the gravity of the situation sinks in, Belder's knees lose all strength and buckle. Wait a minute. Gray thought he was using a blunt blade, so how come this bastard started bleeding? When he looks at his blade to confirm, he finds out it's indeed a blunt one. Though if it had been a sharp sword, this dude might actually be dead. Now, let's not get distracted from the situation at hand. Gray swings the blade precisely, knocking out multiple teeth and leaving Belder's nose bleeding like crazy. My guy is towering right over this bastard, giving him chills for life. It's always pretty amusing to see arrogant pieces of shit getting rendered into sobbing messes. Seems like this much is enough to humble Belder for the rest of his life. Oh well, looks like I spoke too soon. This bastard still hasn't learned his lesson. He orders his goons to get our boy and whip his ass until he's a total mess. The goons hesitate to step forward for obvious reasons. They literally just saw their boss get beaten like a pathetic dog, so it makes no sense to succumb to the same fate, even though they have the power to avoid it. One of the guys suggests they attack in unison to overwhelm Gray. The trio quickly leaps into action, surrounding our boy from every direction. Gray, however, is nonchalant as ever. If these guys desperately want their death wish granted, my guy is more than ready. Everyone leaps at him, intending to finish him right here. At first, Gray had an ounce of sympathy for these hobos and had decided to spare them, but it looks like they won't stop until they learn their lesson. So he gives these gutter goblins what they truly deserve. Not long after, their faces are swollen like a baboon's backside after an unforgiving face massage. Once again, Gray finds it ridiculous that these crying emojis in human form used to be his worst nightmare. He recalls this group is currently students of Saria's swordsmanship dojo. Belder admits they are students of that dojo, though they haven't been visiting lately, since these soggy biscuits believed they were already powerful enough. Well, that's pretty low standards for someone who's supposed to be strong enough. Not that Gray expects much from the dojo itself. He shows interest in joining the dojo, so he wants these goons to act as his referral. Belder refuses to fulfill the request. After all, he can't imagine the consequences once his master finds out he pathetically got his ass handed to him. Gray knows exactly how to deal with these guys.